Hi, and a very warm welcome to the channel. Today I had the pleasure of meeting up with a Facebook friend and his wife. His name is Ronald Keys and his wife is Tina, and they invited me up to where they're staying at a campsite which is 2 and a bit hours north of here. And the idea was to catch up. He's an ex motocross scrambler from the late 60s, early 70s. Ron's quite accomplished. I believe he's won 5 national titles on various machines. It was very nice to meet you both today. We've been friends on Facebook for over 2 years, maybe nearer 3, thinking about it. And it was great to meet you for the first time. We had a great chat. A big special shout out to Tina for the tea. That was great, making a cup of tea for us. That was super. We sat down and reminisced about machines, the men that rode them, and various other things, and it was very, very enjoyable. Thank you for that, Ron. I look forward to our next meeting. And I've got home after 300 miles of traveling, and guess what? I'm going in that pool over there to cool off. So you guys sit back, enjoy the video. I hope you enjoy it. I found it very interesting. There's some big stars involved in it, and have a listen, see what you think, and thumbs up to the give us a subscription and a thumbs up to the page if you would. Any comments, I appreciate it. And thank you very much again for my hosts, Ron and Tina. And we certainly enjoyed the day. So stay healthy, enjoy the video, and I'll talk to you soon. Okay, well, a very good welcome, warm welcome to the channel. And where am I today? Well, as you can see over here, there's a beautiful little river coming down. I'm at a campground in North Woodstock, which is in New Hampshire, just across the line. I'm about 100 miles from home, and I've come to meet someone who's a friend of mine on Facebook, who is quite a celebrity in the motocross world from the 70s, and we're going to sit and have a chat. So I will go up and sit and ask Ron a few questions, and we'll hope you all enjoy it. This, by the way, is where the kids have been jumping off the rock into the water to cool off. It's going to be a warm day, so follow me and we'll see you up the top. Okay, well, welcome to the channel, everybody. This is the first time I've had the pleasure of coming up to North Woodstock, and also the pleasure of meeting Ron. Good morning, Ron.
Good morning.
We've been friends on Facebook a while, haven't we?
Yeah, a few years now.
Yeah, so Ron was down this way, lives in Canada, and cut it a long story short, here we are. So we thought it would be fun today to just reminisce, chat about the wonderful 70s and things we got up to. Now, I don't know an awful lot about your background, Ron, but what titles do you hold in Canada?
I had 2 250, 2 open, and 1 125 national championship, and then a few other national championships other than motocross.
And as we were talking earlier, most of your racing life was in Canada, in fact, wasn't it?
Most of it was in Canada, and whenever I could, I would come down to New England and race down here.
Yeah, even though Ron and I were raised in 2 different countries, it's strange because the scrambling or the motocross world, we know an awful lot of people, both know those same people through the racing world. And that's half the fun, of course, of reminiscing of the old days. So let's ask the magic question. Why did you start racing dirt bikes?
It was quite by accident, actually. I went to high school at a Christian school, a private school, and I bought myself an electric guitar, and at the end of school, and my father took it from me and took it back, and I was very disappointed. And he said to me, "Well, I've seen people running around on these little red scooters. I think they call them Hondas." And he said, "I'm not going to buy it for you. You're going to have to buy it yourself, but I will co-sign for you if you want to finance it." So we went down to the Honda shop, and I rode out onto the street on the biggest Honda that they made at the time, which was a 305 Honda Super Hawk. Within about 3 weeks' time, I had met some other fellows, and it scared me half to death because it was a Sunday evening at the drive-in restaurant in town, and they were talking about throwing their bikes down so they wouldn't run over somebody else, and
Well,
I was just in awe. And then they said, "Well, you should come out with us. We go out every Sunday." And I said to myself, "Yeah, sure. I'm not likely."
and that the bug was planted.
Well, and a couple of weeks later, I ran across them on a Sunday morning, because at that point in time I practically lived on the motorcycle. I just loved it so much.
Yeah.
And I ended up out there at the racetrack with them. They were just street bikes with street tires. But I beat everybody.
Yeah.
Well, that's fun. Winning is fun.
Winning is fun. That's what we all try to achieve. Yeah.
And so I kept going out, and eventually they brought a fellow out who had knobby tires. He had a 250 Ducati Scrambler, and it had knobby tires on it, and he had raced before. He really impressed me because he rode around the track sitting on the motorcycle backwards.
Right.
However, when we raced, I beat him too.
Yeah. What year are we talking, Ron?
This was 1965.
Okay, so this is very early, the beginning.
Yes.
Yeah.
So by 1966, I was racing the bike a lot locally, with just our friends. But the guy at the motorcycle shop where I had begun working said, "We need to get you a CMA license. You need to race." I said, "Well, I haven't got any money to buy a proper racing bike." He said,
Right.
"We'll put knobby tires on your Honda."
Yep.
They did. It was a 3-race weekend. It was Canada Day, and the July 1st weekend in Canada. And the first race was at a town carnival near where I lived, in a town called Whitby. And I finished second to a fellow riding a BSA Victor 441.
Good stuff. Well, that was my first bike. Yeah. Yeah.
And the following day, I raced at a very rough track. St. Agatha was the name of the place, and I ended up shattering the hub on the rear wheel. Well, lo and behold, a fellow come up to me who owned a motorcycle shop, and he said, "I have a new bike, a new 305 Honda in my showroom," and he said, "If you want to camp tonight on my lawn," he says, "we'll set you up with a new wheel so you can race at the big
Great.
race in Copetown." Copetown was, at that time they had an annual event. One was held in Grafton, Vermont. The other was held in Copetown. And it was the Canada-USA Challenge match. So a team was chosen of the best Eastern
Right.
US riders, the best Canadian riders, and whoever, we raced at Grafton one race, and at Copetown the other race, and whoever had the most points, of course, won.
My ears just pricked up because Grafton's not too far from where
Not
I
far.
live now. Yeah.
And so I raced the support class with my 305 Honda. There was a guy there with a 500 Triumph that I was racing against, and I won.
Yeah.
I couldn't believe it.
Yeah.
This was really getting in my blood now, because I was very competitive when I was in high school. I was in every kind of track and field event going on, soccer, everything, basketball. And so this just fell right into my niche.
Well, it's a great sport for sure, and we're both lovers of the sport. So, unfortunately, I didn't manage to get out of England to come to America during those days. But We'll talk a little bit more in a sec. Okay, guys, we had to stop and do something important and put the kettle on. So the tea is being made. So Ron was just telling us where it all began, and before my time, of course. But we're going to move on. We're only going to make this 20 minutes or so. That's quite a lot of footage to edit. Okay, Ron, we're going to move up the years a little bit. We left off at what year were we, Ron?
1967. The
67.
100-year anniversary of Canada as a nation.
Yep.
And that's why they had that 3-race weekend.
Okay.
The first race was a celebration, and
you've now had a taste of motocross.
yes, the taste of winning more than anything else.
Yeah.
It was just
Yeah.
addictive. Moving along rather quickly, things developed, and I was sponsored by the shop that I worked in. They bought me a CZ, and I raced that. It was a twin port, and then after that, a friend of mine sponsored me on a Greaves. That was when I won my first 500cc expert race.
Now, what model Greaves would that be? Because the people that are going to watch this will be Greaves people.
It was a 360 Greaves Challenger with
Challenger.
the Sirianni forks.
Yeah.
I loved that bike. It wasn't the fastest bike, but it was a fun bike to ride.
Yep.
I had probably the most memorable race I had with that was against the Flying Hawaiian,
Yep. That
Johnny
name.
DeSoto.
That name rings a bell. Yeah.
And I was in the support class that year at Grafton, Vermont. And I chased him for the whole race, but I just didn't have enough power.
Right.
He had a Montesa, and it was somewhat quicker than the Greaves.
Is that the Capria?
Capra?
Capra.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I bet possibly that was it. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
So I guess it was in 1969. I was working at a health club in Oshawa, and a friend of mine from Finland was going to go to California for the winter to race, and he invited me to come with him. I didn't really have a motorcycle per se that was mine, so I called the fellow who turned out to be practically my second dad, George Davis. He was Yvon Duhamel's mechanic when Yvon raced flat track and
Yep.
raced motocross. I called George up and I said, George, I need a motorcycle for racing for next year, and I'd like to have a CZ. Oh, he said, we can fix that up for you. I said, yes, George, but I'd like to have it for free. Oh. Well, give me a few minutes and I'll talk to the boss and I'll get back to you. And he called me back a short time later and he says, we have a 360 here waiting for you.
Oh,
I said, wonderful. I said, I'll be down to pick it up.
exciting.
So I got in my old Buick that when you pulled into a gas station, you said, fill it up with oil and check the gas.
Yeah.
And I drove to Montreal in a snowstorm, put the CZ on the back, and I said to George, I'm going to California, George. What?
That's a
I
long
said,
way.
yeah. I said, I want to improve my riding so that I'll really be ready to go next year. Well, okay.
We'll pause just for a second because the tea has arrived.
So Heikki Ilonen, my friend, took his truck and my bike and his bike, and he headed off to California, and I gave him 2 weeks notice at the health club. And then I flew down, and I had never flown before. This was my first flight. I got on the plane and it was about minus 20 in Toronto. And I got off the plane in San Diego, and I immediately had to start disrobing because it was so hot.
Yeah.
And Heikki was nowhere near to pick me up.
Well,
I had no idea where he was. So I got a cab, took me to this divey hotel in town, the Drake Hotel. I'll never forget it. So I called a couple of the local shops and said, has there been a Finlander around there in the last while, a motocross rider? I'm looking for him. His name is Heikki. And he said, oh, just a minute. Guy came to the phone. Yeah. He says he was here the other day. He says I can get a hold of him if you want. So that's how I ended up
Right.
finding Heikki.
Well, there's only one Heikki from Finland.
Yes, this is a different Heikki. Not the same one.
Yeah, right.
Not Heikki Mikola.
No.
No.
Um,
Heikki Ilonen.
right.
There were quite a few Finlanders racing
Yeah.
in Canada at the time.
Yeah. I think.
Seppo Mäkinen was racing, and he was a formidable racer.
Yeah.
He was a national champion in Canada as well.
I think Mikola did come to the States to race.
Yes, he did.
Yeah.
Yes. He raced over here several times.
Okay, so we're just about to change rides, I think, from the CZ or the CZ, whichever way you pronounce it, doesn't really matter. It's a great bike. I had one myself. We talked about that earlier, didn't we, Ron?
Yes.
So when you went from that machine, how long were you on that machine?
On the CZ?
Yeah.
I was on the CZ until 1971. At the end of 71, something happened which was a bit nasty, and I don't want to repeat. But CZ and I parted company, not because I wanted to go.
Right.
I was national number one and national champion at the time, and I said to the fellow who fired me that you will be sorry that you did this. And it was only a month later that the Canadian National Championships came up, and Seppo Mäkinen and I drove out to BC for that championship. And I said to Seppo, I have two brand new Husqvarnas here that they gave me.
Yeah.
I would really like to Husqvarna win both classes. Why don't you race the 500? I will race the 250 because
Yeah.
Jim Pomeroy was racing then.
Right. The
And,
Bultaco guy.
I raced against Jim Pomeroy in the 250 class.
Yeah.
And I won the 250 class, and Seppo won the 500 class,
Wow.
and it was a Husqvarna sweep.
Yeah. Did you enjoy the Husqvarna?
There was a difference, obviously, between the two bikes. I found that the CZ, the faster that you rode it, the better it handled.
Right.
The Husqvarna seemed to have a limit. You didn't want to go over that limit.
Right.
But
they were
in all fairness, I didn't ride the Husqvarna for very long.
Husqvarna
I
were
got
very
to ride-
popular, weren't they, at that time of the
Yes, well,
the
it
year?
shifted on the opposite side from
Right.
the CZ
Right.
and from the Honda and everything that I
Yeah.
had ridden.
Yeah.
And I had to race the national championship against Jim Pomeroy
Yeah.
on a bike that shifted on the wrong side, and I'd
Right.
only ridden it 2 races before.
Yeah. Yeah. So the change on the Husky was on the right, was it?
Yes.
Similar to a. And the CZ was on the left.
Yeah. You always had to be thinking, that.
Yeah.
Left side.
Yeah. Don't mistake it for the brake.
Yeah.
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 Okay, Ron. So you had a short spell on the Husqvarna there. 1 season or 2?
Only 3 races.
Oh, okay.
And,
And
when
then-
I got back from the national championships, George Davis did not like this person who had been hired as the race director for CZ. And George was beyond retirement age. He could have retired whenever he wanted to, but he loved motocross. He loved being there with everyone. And George told me, he says, call Yamaha. They would like to have you race for them on their new motocross bikes.
Right.
So I did. Long story short, I ended up signing a contract with Fred Dealey Limited in BC, who were the Yamaha distributors for Canada.
Right. Happy days by the sounds of it.
Well, not at first, because we didn't have any YZs.
Oh.
So they gave me a 250 and a 360 engine, and I went down to San Jose, California, and the fellow there that made Champion flat track frames said that he could make me some motocross frames. So he made me 2 motocross frames, and for the first few races I raced on this Champion flat track bike in a
Yeah.
motocross track.
Yeah.
Did quite well. I think I won, but I forget it. It's sort of
Yeah.
memory now, distant memory. But very shortly after that, they flew me in at a 250 and a 360 YZ.
Nice.
And during the next 2 years, 72 and 73, I basically won every race that I went in with them.
Yeah. Yeah,
And most days I was racing 250 and open class.
yeah. If any of you viewers like to just Google Ronald Keys up on the old .com there, you'll find more exact dates and pictures and things like I did. And one question I wanted to really ask you was, last winter when we chatted on the phone, you were going to go and stop on the way back from Florida, your winter retreat, and you'd found an old ride that you had, and it was being restored, I believe. Which bike was that, Ron?
A fellow contacted me from outside of Cleveland, Ohio, through Facebook, and he thought that he had my 360 motocross bike, my 1973. And I told him, I said, well, I understood. I was told that they were sent back to Japan and chopped up into pieces, you know. And he said, no, he says, I think I have it. I bought it from a fellow in BC who bought it from Fred Dealey Limited.
Right.
And he said it was your bike. So I said, well, send me some pictures. So he sent me a picture of it. And the last year I raced for Yamaha, Champion Sparkplug sponsored me. And I had put a Champion sticker on each lower fork leg. And this bike had
Still
those
there.
Champion Sparkplug
Still there.
signs on the fork legs. And I had him check a few other things, and sure enough, yes, it's my bike, and he's looking forward to me coming down and autographing it for him.
Yeah,
Because he's refurbished it, but he hasn't made it like a new bike. He's made it like it just came off the racetrack.
And you didn't manage to get to see it that winter, did you, on the way back?
No, I haven't seen it yet.
No. So that's something to look forward to.
I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah,
Yes, I asked him if I could purchase it. He said, no way.
Right. Yeah. So that was, we'd got up to 1973, had we?
Yes, 1973, yes.
Yeah. As I say, guys, we can't go on and on and on because the footage will be, I'm trying to keep it, round about the 20-25 minutes. So we'll move on from there. Just jumping the gun, Ron, when did you retire?
Well, in 1973, one of the high points in my life, I took a 360 RT3. The thing about it was dead reliable, but it handled like a pig.
Right.
I took a front end off of a stock Yamaha motocross bike, and it fit in the fork ground perfectly.
Wow.
I put Girling shocks on it, made a few changes, and I rode the 1973 International 6-day trial
Yep.
in Grafton, Vermont.
Wow.
Or not Grafton, I forget the name of the place now. Anyway, if it weren't for a short circuit and a wire that got crushed, I would have had the gold medal.
Wow.
I managed to fix it and was only late at one checkpoint, and I got a silver.
There is a famous track outside Springfield, Massachusetts.
This is in the Berkshires.
Oh, in the Berkshires.
Yes,
Okay.
Yes.
I'm not up to speed with all the because some are not there anymore, of course.
Well, it's the very west part of Western County in Massachusetts.
Okay. Of course, we shall think of the name just as we get to the end of the video. So, your retirement was when and for what reason, Ron?
Well, 1973, they had the so-called gas crunch where everybody was thinking we were going to run out of fuel, and I asked for more money from Yamaha because I had won the 125, 250, and open class national championships for them, all on Yamaha, and I felt I deserved a little better deal, and they said no, that's all that they could do. So I left, and I wondered, well, what should I do now? So I called Can-Am, and Jeff Smith invited me to join their team. So I did join their team, but I was becoming disenchanted with the whole thing. They say that the average interest in any given sport for a person is 7 years, and I was beyond that.
Yeah.
And I was
Those
losing.
days, it's just the same as it is today, and we're both guilty of not doing that and trying to get fit, and that would have surely helped the matters.
Yes.
But times change, and you move on. I know I only had a 12-year racing life, so I don't think I would want to have gone on. You don't have the same passion as you turn the clock in years.
Well, I didn't want to end up working in a motorcycle shop for the rest of my
Right,
life. I wanted
right.
to start thinking about a career, and I got completely out of motorcycle racing when
Yeah.
I left Can-Am. I was only with Can-Am for a few months.
Stopping on the Can-Am scene, I know Jeff Smith left England as I was starting to go and work for Bombardier as a development on the snowmobiles, I guess, and also they had a machine, didn't they, Can-Am? They had a
Yes.
bike,
Yeah.
and so you actually were lucky enough to work with Jeff at that time.
Yes. Just prior to that, on Yamaha, it's an interesting story. I was at the national championship in Quebec, Chicoutimi, Quebec, and I was planning on riding the 250 in open class. There was a fellow there, a Texas national champion, and in the open class, Jeff Smith in the 125 class.
Wow.
And this truck rolled up, and they unloaded two YZ 125s that they'd just flown in from Japan. We'd like you to race the 125 class.
Right.
So I said to my partner, I said, John Vance, I said, you race the 250, I'll race the open, because we got this Texas champion here,
Yep.
and I'll race the 125 against Jeff Smith. And Can-Am was really looking forward to winning a national championship. Anyway, long story short, I won both classes,
Good for you.
and that was
Jeff was not too happy.
Jeff wasn't very happy. No. As a matter of fact, it sort of it had a disastrous effect on the sales of Can-Am motorcycles
Yes,
in
they
Canada.
did. Yeah. Yeah.
I was told that by Mr. Ray Graff, who was a motorcycle man who knows a lot about that kind of thing in
Right.
Quebec.
Right.
So other than that, I got out of motorcycling completely when I left Can-Am, and never got back into it again until 1999. I didn't want my children to be involved in it because I know it's
Yeah.
the risk of being hurt badly is
Of
very
course,
high, and
of
I was
course.
a very protective father.
Yeah. Yeah.
However, I got back into it in 1999, and I got involved in writing stories, travel
Yeah.
stories for
Yeah.
a motorcycle magazine. And my kids both ended up getting motorcycle license. I taught them how to ride
Yep.
when they were in their 20s.
Yep.
And
And
but
that's
probably the two biggest thing that happened to me later in life was, number one, in 2008, I was inducted into the Canadian Motorcycle Hall of Fame.
Good. Good. Well done.
And in my hometown, Oshawa, Ontario, I was inducted into the Oshawa Sports Hall of Fame with the likes of Bobby Orr,
Wow.
Eric Lindros, Terry O'Reilly, lots of famous people. And
Yeah.
actually, the evening I was inducted, I met Eric Lindros because he was inducted the same evening.
Yeah. That's great.
So it was, those were two nice crowning points in my career.
Well, you know what they say, Ron? Memories live a lot longer than dreams.
Yes, they do.
So that's something you can sit back now and remember. We're gonna finish up, guys. I don't want to be imposing on Ron. He's on vacation with his good wife Tina. They're having some fun, and I'm gonna head out shortly. I've just got a nice cup of tea going. So we'll leave it at that, and I'd like to thank Ron for having the time set aside to just talk and reminisce. We could talk all day long, couldn't we, Ron?
Oh, we sure could. A lot of stories.
It's amazing how many people pop up that we both know from across the pond. I hope it's been a little bit of interest for you. I know a couple of my dear friends back home that will really be interested in it. So I'll put it up on the channel when I get home. It's not going to be fancy edited and singing and dancing, but we'll put it up there, and you can welcome to check in. All we ask you to do is thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. It helps, and hit that notification bell if you enjoyed it, and you'll get more videos. And thanks for watching. And from Ron and myself,
Greetings from the colony of Canada.
there you go. Goodbye for now, and take care, stay safe.